I'm Chris Wilms, the new Executive Director of Operations. I have attended FVMC for a few years along with my wife Nancy and my children Lucas and Samantha, ages 14 and 11 respectively. Before I accepted this position, I was a partner of a law firm in Durham and managed the operations of that company for the last 13 years while also practicing law full-time. I'm using those skills and that experience now to manage the resources here at FVMC to make sure that the ministries here have all that they need to be successful. That's a commitment I take very seriously. I have already learned so much about how things work behind the curtain in my first few weeks. As someone who spent a lot of time in those seats during worship, not having much insight about how everything works behind the curtain, I felt like now that I do have some insight, there were a few things that I would have been interested to know as a regular attendee. For the next few minutes, I thought I'd take some time to share some of those insights with you. First, there are lots of committees filled with regular people from our church from all walks of life who all share a love of God and meet regularly to agonize and debate over all kinds of things in pursuit of guiding our church and being good stewards of what has been entrusted to them. If you are someone in the church who perhaps volunteers a good deal, you have an area of passion where you'd like to serve, and you're ready to meet the challenge to level up, expressing your interest to our staff to serve on a committee to contribute your ideas, talent, and time to helping make decisions about what we do here is worth considering. More voices at the table mean more opportunities to make good decisions and keep God first in all the things this organization does. I'm asking you to tell our staff what you're interested in so we can have those conversations. Or navigate to fvmc.org/leadership and use the interest form at the top of that page to let us know about your interest. Second, the employed staff here are some of the most top-notch and welcoming people I've ever met. And they just so selflessly commit themselves to serving this church and God with their whole hearts. It so impresses me to see how hard they work behind the scenes in ways many of us never realize. How they constantly show up to meet the needs of our church family, whatever those needs happen to be on any given day, and how they help us on our walk with God while rooting us on and cheering for us as we take steps forward in faith. However, the staff here can only do so much in terms of how many hours are in the day, and they have a lot more that they wish they could do to meet the needs of our church and community if they had the resources. As our church grows and making sure we are equipping our congregation spiritually becomes a larger and larger task, we're better able to meet the needs of our ministries when we have ample volunteers who can use their time and talent to help us create environments for spiritual growth and service and expand upon, in multiples, the good work that can be done compared to what a few employed staff can handle on their own. If you are someone who feels the pull to use your time and talent to transform lives and communities, then please fill out a Connect Serve card and drop it in the offering box, or fill out the online form at fvmc.org/connect. We would be grateful just to have the conversation with you about your interest. One of the things I loved was seeing how many people have been responding to the call to level up this season and are expressing their interest in volunteering, and I want to encourage others with an interest to also step forward. Third, I wanted to share some facts about our giving before and after the pandemic. While we have had a very generous congregation that has kept this organization thriving in spite of obvious challenges, and I can't emphasize that enough, the reality which I won't sugarcoat is that we have had to do more with less. We're operating with a budget that is lower than it was prior to the pandemic and is supported today by fewer households than was the case prior to the pandemic. Also, despite the fact that things cost substantially more than they did a decade ago, and despite the changing and growing needs of our church and the people it serves, the giving has simply not kept pace. For example, we had a budget in 2017 of $1.69 million, and this year we had a budget of roughly $1.6 million. Once you factor in inflation to account for the things that cost a lot more now than they did in 2017, we would need roughly $400,000 in additional annual giving to meet the needs of the church and the community in the same way that we did in 2017. What I've learned is that the teams here are great stewards of whatever they have to work with, but when they are required to stretch resources more and more each year and are themselves stretched more and more to meet our church's growing needs, it does reshape and limit the mission and ministry this church can offer, both in quality and quantity. As I've begun processing my observations from serving in this role over the last few weeks, a question I continue to ponder is what additional mission and ministry could be possible for us if our financial giving consistently tracked with the growing needs of the church and those it serves. Everyone here has done an amazing job of supplementing and supporting the church as it has adapted to address the challenges over the last few years. One of the silver linings from that adversity is that the teams here have had an opportunity to demonstrate their commitment during challenging times, which for me speaks to the quality of what we can expect from their stewardship when they are entrusted with more abundant resources. For those of you that have decided internally already that they have an interest in supporting God's work financially, either occasionally or on a regular basis as part of their household budget, then I believe this is a trustworthy and effective organization through which you can see those gifts put to good use. When pledge cards come around in a few weeks and we ask for some information about what you are planning for 2025, I hope you will give some consideration to what type of financial contribution you would make and share that with our leadership. If you pledge a certain amount for next year and get that information to us, then by knowing what to expect, it makes a huge difference with helping the teams prepare for the work to be done and making the best use of the resources entrusted to us. I hope that these initial insights are helpful. I want to thank the leadership here at FVMC for giving me the opportunity to serve the church in this new way. And I want to thank the staff here for being so over-the-top welcoming to me in every way. I hope that you will give thoughtful consideration to how you can partner with us here at FVMC to transform lives that transform communities. And I look forward to engaging in that work alongside you as your church's new Executive Director of Operations.